I only discovered, well, realised in January that I was suffering with anxiety. I was reading and researching everything I could about it to try and better understand what my son dealt with on a daily basis. And I suddenly realised I was reading all about me. It was a relief, to be honest. It suddenly made me realise why the roller coaster of my life was such a roller coaster, and why everything that happened, and why I was a bitch for over 20 years. So I suppose I better tell you a bit of my backstory. I'll try not to waffle and drone on and try not to lose my train of thought, but I think it's important so you can maybe understand me a little bit better. I'll try and keep it as brief as possible, but I need to tell my story. I was 13 when my parents split up. That turned me into a bit of a rebel, drinking, smoking, generally being a rebellious teenager, really. At 16, I had my first serious boyfriend. He dumped me for my best friend. I found out I was pregnant. He didn't believe me. I miscarried. He didn't believe me. The doctor put me on antidepressants. I took an overdose. My mum stuck her fingers down my throat. So then I was 17, 18, I met Billy. Okay, not his real name, but kind of a stage name. I thought he was gay, but he wasn't. I was head over heels in love with this guy. The kind of love where it's painful, you ache. Loved him to the bones. Do they say that? There's some sort of saying like that. Anyway, waffling, not going to waffle. So we got into a relationship, and then I found out I was pregnant. Bit of a shock, but I was over the moon. He was my first true love, and at the time probably the love of my life, and we were going to have a baby together. Told my family. Most of them were happy, a few of them were not so keen. It was suggested I might want to have a termination. That wasn't going to happen. What I did forget to mention is we were gothic. I mean, I'm talking black clothes, Alice Cooper, eat your heart out when it comes to my black eyeliner, because I could have been in Kiss, I'll tell you. And Billy was the same. Black leather trousers, cowboy boots. Used to wear his shirt open, had a tattoo here. So anyway, going back to my pregnancy, and I was coming towards the end of my pregnancy, and it was then suggested to me that social services would take one look at us both and decide that we were bad parents and my baby would be taken away. I'm at this point 19. I don't know how social services work. It's nothing I ever had to deal with. I was petrified of losing my baby. So basically I was given a choice of thinking I was going to lose my baby, it being taken away from me and Billy, or I had to leave Billy. It was a suggestion, but it was like a worm in my head, and I thought I had to dump him so that I could keep my baby and bring it up by myself. So that's what I did. I broke his heart. I broke my heart. And it affected me. And I was horrible to him. He tried to win me back. I mean, how can you win someone back that never stopped loving you? And the reason I was horrible to him is because it was painful. It was painful to be near him and not be with him. So yeah, we split up, and I ended up dating an ex-convict, and then spent the next 18 months with my baby, who was my little boy. Spent the next 18 months in a physically, mentally, sexually abusive relationship. I was beaten, I was raped, I was choked to the point of unconsciousness. It's a dark time in my life, I don't like to talk about it. And it took me 18 months to run away. And I ran away to Wales because that's where my mum lived. And I ran away to Wales, and I was broken. And then I heard that Billy was now with somebody else and he had a baby. My heart shattered because I was still in love with Billy, and absolutely broke my heart. I was totally broken in every possible way a person could be broken. I was broken, and I thought I was a bad mum. And after a conversation with my own mum, I decided I needed to sort myself out. I asked her to take my son for a few months so that I could sort myself out. I decided I wanted to move back to Devon because all my family and friends were in Devon, and I thought that's the place to sort myself out. And then once I get sorted out, I can have my son back and start rebuilding my life. Now that I knew that Billy was with somebody else, and I had to do it by myself. So that's what I did. I left my 3-year-old son with my mum, and I moved to Devon. And when I got there, pretty much everybody had turned their back on me. I was basically having a breakdown, and not one person was there for me. And my family, not all of them, a lot of my family didn't talk to me. One of them blanked me on the street. I could hear people talking about me behind my back, and it was absolutely awful. And I ended up not getting fixed, but getting more broken, because I thought I'd have the support for help from my family and friends, and it wasn't there. And I think that's when my anxiety started, but I didn't actually realise it then. I'll be back because I'm going to get emotional, so I'm going to take a break, collect my thoughts, and come back to you when I've sorted myself out. See you soon. As you can imagine, I had a lot of trust issues then after my relationship, and after the lack of support from my family and friends. I was a mess. I was an absolute mess. I turned into an absolute complete bitch. I didn't trust anybody. I didn't trust anybody anymore, and I didn't feel safe with anybody because I didn't know if I was going to end up with another guy that was going to treat me like the last guy and use me as a punch bag, and I needed to feel safe. And that's when I met my first husband. Yes, first husband. He was a bouncer, a doorman, big bloke, made me feel safe. The guy that I'd run away with had threatened me that if I ever did leave him, he would find me, and if he ever saw me walking down the road pregnant, he would stick a knife in my belly. That's the kind of guy he was. So I needed someone that made me feel safe, and my first husband made me feel safe. So we got married, bought a house. My son came back to live with me. Those few months that he was supposed to have been with my mum ended up being about 6 years. But he came back to live with me, and turns out that this husband was a mental bully. He was very childish. And I didn't love him. I was still in love with my son's dad. I was still in love with Billy. And anyway, needless to say, that marriage ended. And I ended up dating a guy that was giving me a lift to work. Now, he's the nicest guy, lovely guy. I really haven't got a bad word to say about him. Much, much younger than me. He tried his best to be, you know, a good surrogate dad to my son. But I think being a lot younger, he got very jealous of the attention that I lavished on my son. The thing is with my son, he looked like his dad. He just looked like his dad, so I had a constant reminder of Billy every day. So I loved my second husband, don't get me wrong. I loved him. I wasn't in love with him, and I treated him quite badly too. I used to get drunk all the time. I used to drink 4 glasses of wine every single night just to get through the day. And that's all down to my social anxiety, because it gave me confidence, but it also made me a bit gobby. But anyway, that kind of fizzled out in the end. We tried marriage guidance counselling, but you know, I never admitted to him that I was still in love with the father of my son. So when that marriage broke down, that was it. I was never, ever getting involved with a man ever again. And then I was working in a co-op, and this fisherman used to come in his yellow wellies. That's what I used to call him, actually, old yellow wellies. He'd been through a particularly rough time. He'd been shit on big time, and he wasn't looking for anybody, but we kind of clicked, and we got together. We've been together 9 years now. It's our 5th wedding anniversary in June, and he's my soulmate. And I finally told him in January about my anxiety, because he didn't understand why I haven't got any friends, because I can't make a bond with people. I don't trust people, and if I feel people are getting too close, I push them away before they can push me away. And so I had to explain to him about my anxiety, and he's amazing. He knows if I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to talk about it. If he says, "How are you today?" and I'll say fine, and he knows I'm having a bad day and I'm not fine, he'll give me a hug. And you know, he's my soulmate. And for the first time, I wouldn't say I don't love Billy. I think I'll always have some feelings for him because he's the father of my child. But it was when I met my fisherman that my life moved on from Billy. And Billy's got married, had 4 kids. They've separated now. He's with somebody else. We're still friends. He took my wedding photos when me and my fisherman got married. He took our wedding photos. He came down and stayed in our house and took our wedding photos. Okay, I didn't get all of them, which pissed me off a little bit, but I got a few, and they're only photos at the end of the day. But yeah, basically, I'm hoping that my little story there may give you a better understanding of why I have social anxiety and why I struggle, and why I'm using YouTube and Instagram to try and build up my self-confidence, because I haven't got any, and it scares the shit out of me posting these videos. It really does scare me. Because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh God, people are going to think I'm just pathetic, and I'm making a total embarrassment of myself. But I've got to do it. I need to do it. I'm on a journey. I want to get better, and this is helping me get better. So, nothing about fitness today. It was all about miserable old me and my social anxiousness. And I'm not going to go on anymore because this has gone on long enough, but I was hoping to go into how I got into exercise and how exercise helps my anxiety. But I will do another video because I don't want you to all get bored, because I tend to switch off people's videos after about 15 minutes because they start waffling. So we'll do that on another day. I just want to say thank you for listening to my story. And I hope I haven't missed anything out, and I hope it kind of explains why I am who I am. Right, I'm going to go because I'm waffling and this has really gone on too long. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.